a woman in leadership or a man in leadership and you've spoken in front of people and your voice started to crack? Has it ever happened to you before? Well, this is your lucky day. In this video, we're going to talk about why. Why does this happen? Why does our voice sometimes crack when we are under pressure? And I'm going to give you 3 strategies to help you overcome this situation when it happens. Now, if this sounds like something that you are interested in, then you should absolutely watch this video until the end, because I'm sharing with you over 20 years worth of experience as a public speaker, as a C-suite executive, and a director and an executive coach that will help you to stand out from everybody else as a leader. Now, this topic is very common. And yesterday we talked a little bit about what happens when you have a big presentation you're doing. You may have sweaty palms or something along those lines. We talked a little bit about that yesterday during the live. And if you want to watch that, it will give you some insight in terms of why your palms become really sweaty sometimes when you're speaking in front of people as a leader, or when you're in those very under pressure situations. Maybe you're in interviews, maybe you are in a specific type of setting where you're having to present in front of a bunch of people. It could be a lot of different things. But today we're going to talk about, why does your voice crack when you're under pressure? If it's happened to you before, put it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Let me give you some strategies while I have some time with you this morning. Before we go into it, a couple things on the chat. We have Pratik Galatkar 1011 says, hello Pratik. How are you doing today? Good to see you, friend. Glad you're here. And we have Pankaj saying, hello, Pankaj. How are you doing today? Pankaj says, hey, Dr. Leader, heart. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me know if you all have ever had your voice crack as a leader when you're speaking in front of a group of people. We're going to dive into that today and talk more about why this happens and some strategies that will prevent you from doing that. So first, why does this happen? Why does it happen when we speak and our voice tends to crack if we feel like we're under pressure? Especially, let's say for instance, if you're in an interview type of setting, or perhaps you are presenting in front of a conference, maybe you're presenting to a group of people, or etc. So let's talk about that today. So Pratik Galatkar 1011 says, I'm doing good. I'm so glad you're doing well, Pratik. And Pratik Galatkar 1011 says, how about you? I'm doing fantastically well now that I'm back on schedule with everyone and ready to provide you all with as much value as possible. We're starting a new year, and I want to make sure each and every one of you are at a very, very, very good position to communicate very strongly this year, to generate more income, to make a bigger impact on the world, and all the amazing things that you want to do. So let's talk about why your voice cracks when you're speaking in front of a group of people when you're under pressure. Well, oftentimes what happens specifically in these situations is there's 2 reasons. One, it could be physiologic. And even though I'm a doctor, I'm not providing medical advice, but it could be just the way your body has been made. Some people have distortions in their voice when they're speaking. They may not be speaking under pressure. They just may be speaking in general, and their voice may be slightly distorted. Or you may have a scenario where when you're speaking in front of a group of people, your mind and your mouth, in terms of what you're trying to say, and your brain is giving your mouth signals to speak, you may just be at a point where they are not in alignment with each other. Let me give you an example. So for instance, when my clients talk to me and they mention to me, I have a really hard time thinking on my feet. And what thinking on your feet means specifically is your ability to respond in the moment, impromptu speaking in front of a group of people, even though you may not know the answer to the question. What happens sometimes is when you're speaking as a leader and it's an under pressure situation. Now, if you don't know what an under pressure situation is, I can go over that in just a second. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But if you are under pressure specifically, this is something that can cause you to blank in your mind, where you're not able to think, you're not able to process what's being said. So before I go into that, I saw something come in the chat. We have Dallas Pride 17. Hello, Dallas. Welcome. Hope you're doing well today. Dallas asks, what are you talking about? Dallas, so we are talking about why your voice tends to crack when you are under pressure. If you're speaking to a group of people, or if you are speaking to a small group of people, or if you feel like you're in an interview or presenting a board presentation like that as leader, why does your voice crack? So that's what we're talking about today. This channel specifically, Dallas, because I know this is my first time seeing you, so welcome, glad you're here. We talk about how to help you communicate confidently and concisely under pressure, and that is my expertise. I'm here to help you be able to generate more income and make a bigger impact on the world by becoming that person that communicates at a higher level than your peers, that stands out from everybody else. So if this sounds like something you like to learn more about, there's a lot of live videos out here on my channel, Dallas, to give you some insight on that aspect of it. And we're talking about a specific topic as it relates to communication. I appreciate the heart emojis, friends. So Dallas says, are you a Cowboys fan? I like the Cowboys. They're not too bad. We have Billy Desmore. Hello, Billy. How are you doing today? Welcome, welcome. And Dallas says, oh, and nice. Absolutely. And we have Bishop Burton. Good morning, Bishop Burton. Hope you're doing well today. Bishop Burton, I did a video just for you yesterday. I gave you a shout out in the video yesterday evening. So Bishop Burton, really good topic yesterday about why your palm can sometimes become very sweaty when you're speaking to a group of people. So Bishop, when you have a moment, take a look at the live video I had last night that I did. I went into a lot of detail about why your palms can sometimes become really sweaty when you're speaking to people, and provide you with some insight there. So appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions, let me know. We have Shay, 1981. Hello, Shay. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today? Hope you all are doing fantastically well. And we're talking about why your voice tends to crack under pressure. And we were just talking about under pressure situations. So let me define that, because there's some people here on the live this morning that are new to me, and I'm glad you're here. Under pressure situations, let's define that, and then you let me know, has this ever happened to you before? Under pressure situations would include the following, and this is a very limited list, but I'm going to give you something just to think about, and then let's talk about how we can prevent your voice from cracking in those situations. Under pressure would be, you are in an interview, you are in a salary negotiation, you are speaking to your boss, your manager, your business partner, your constituents. You are doing a presentation in front of a group of people. You are going to be having a difficult conversation with someone as a leader. You may be having a tough conversation you're having with a coworker. You may be in a leadership position where you have to do rifts or layoffs or something along those lines. These are all very difficult conversations. These are all under pressure situations. And when you think about those situations, when they come up, sometimes we are not able to articulate what we want to say specifically because we are under pressure and we're not thinking about it. And that is what I talk about on my channel. If you like this information, feel free to subscribe to the channel. So before I go into some of those strategies that will help you to not have your voice crack so much under pressure, and these are just a few strategies. I have many more to share with you. If you are in my direct target audience that I provide executive coaching and consulting services to, that are women in leadership, you're welcome to reach out to me with a strategy session in the description below. If not, then if you're not in my audience, maybe you're a man in leadership or a person that's not a leader just yet, then continue watching my content. Ask me any questions you have. I'm here to support you any way that I can on your journey. So before I go into that, we have Bishop Burton says, okay, thanks so much. You're welcome, Bishop. And I believe it will give you some good insight for you to consider next time you're going into those presentations. And as I mentioned to you yesterday, Bishop Burton, if you have something that's coming up and you want to try to plan or strategize around it, then just leave me a comment or reach out to me on Instagram at Excite Excellence or on LinkedIn at Dr. Jacinta Lamantai or at Excite Excellence there. I'll be happy to provide you with any insight I can so that you can be successful next time when you're called upon. All right, so your voice cracking. Let's go into that. Specifically, we talked a little bit about why it happens. It could be physiologic, meaning specifically this is how your body is just made. Your voice may crack sometimes. Or it could be a scenario where your mind and your mouth, they're not together. And one of them is thinking and trying to process information too fast. Sometimes what happens with leaders when they're communicating is that they will speak, but they are not thinking. Does that make sense? Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever felt like you're talking, but your mind is thinking, what am I saying? I don't even know what I'm saying. Let me know in the comments below, because sometimes that can cause your voice to crack, because your voice is trying to, your mouth is trying to say something that your mind is not ready to say, if that makes sense. So some strategies that will help you be able to do this. And Shay says, yes, Shay, it happens sometimes. And the strategies I want to share with you that will prevent you from having your voice to crack so much are from my over 20 years of experience being a public speaker. I've been on the news before. I have worked with congressional leaders on the national level and the highest levels here in the government, and then also on the state level here in Florida. I've been in these situations, these very contentious, under pressure type situations. So I'm sharing with you what I've learned in 20 years in about another 5 to 7 minutes. Now, the first strategy I want to share with you to help you when your voice is cracking under pressure, when those situations happen, is to the first thing, and I say this a lot, is prepare. Prepare, practice. The more that you speak, the more comfortable you become in your own voice. And that gives you the ability to train your vocal cords and your mind in terms of how you are speaking. So you may be wondering, well, if I'm under pressure and I'm in an interview and I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, or I'm caught off guard, how can I prepare? How can I plan in advance? 1, subscribe to the channel. That's number 1 you want to do. 2, if you're a woman in leadership, definitely reach out to me for a strategy session in the description below so we can talk about where you are and where you're going. 3, come up with some templated responses in terms of what you want to say. Even though you may be in a situation where you're under pressure and you don't know what to say, majority of the time when you go into meetings, you have some form of an idea in terms of what is this meeting going to be about? What are you talking about? So before you go into your meetings or your presentations or etc., take a few moments to think about what are the top 2 discussion points or topics that you want to talk about, and what potentially could be an objection that you may encounter in this conversation. I teach my clients this in a one-on-one setting and in a group setting. I don't want you to go into conversations just saying I prepared what I had to say and what I needed to say. I want you to be that person that can start to think more strategically. And the way you do that is by thinking ahead. What good can come out of this conversation? What are the bad things that can come out of this conversation? Now, sometimes you may be in a situation where you don't want the bad to come out. I don't want the bad to come out of the conversation either. But I do not want you to be caught off guard. And if you're subscribed to my channel or following me or have worked with me as a client, you know this is not going to happen. We're going to make sure you're in a place where you're not caught off guard. Even if you don't know what to say, still practice what you want to say in those situations. I talk about this, and I talked about it a lot this past month in December. Excuse me. We did a lot of videos about boundaries, and more boundaries to set you up for success for 2026. Now, learning how to communicate your boundaries and knowing what your triggers are will be very important to help you when you're trying to speak under pressure so your voice doesn't crack. So let me know in the comments below if you've ever found yourself in a situation where you didn't know what to say. Let me know in the comments below. My second strategy I want to share with you today to help you prevent your voice from cracking when you're speaking is to make sure you take a breath. When you are speaking to a group of people or in front of a group of people as a leader, or maybe you're in a very under pressure situation that we defined earlier, you can sometimes tend to talk a lot faster. And you're trying to talk so fast that your body is not catching up to how fast you are talking. Therefore, your voice will not be as stable, as steady as it normally would be if you're talking to a friend. Therefore, take a breath. Breathe. Sometimes you need to breathe in a conversation to give yourself the ability to pause and process what you are saying. Many times, and let me know if this has happened to you. This personally happened to me before I started my public speaking journey. When I initially was becoming a public speaker and I joined Toastmasters decades ago now, I spoke very fast because I was so excited to speak that I spoke entirely too fast, and my voice would not be as steady as it is now it would shake, it would crack, all those things, because my body was speaking too fast and my mind was not able to really catch up with it to say, wait, we need to slow down just a little bit. So make sure you take a breath. Sometimes you literally need to breathe when you're in the middle of talking to someone. Now, my third strategy for you would be to make sure that you're at a place. Okay, we talked about 2 strategies so far. We talked about 1, make sure you're in a good situation where you're practicing. 2, make sure that you are in a situation where you are breathing. You have to breathe. You have to breathe. You have to breathe. And the third and most important one, to help you not have your voice crack as much when you're speaking and you're under pressure, is to make sure that you take the time to slow down. Slow down what you are saying. As I mentioned, if you speak too fast and you're not able to take a breath when you're speaking to people, it comes out too fast and your voice will start to crack. If you take some time to slow down, it will help you to be calm in terms of how you communicate, and it will actually help the people that are listening to you to be able to understand what you're saying. You may be wondering, well, how do I slow down? How do you know what is a good pace to have a conversation with someone? There's a couple things to keep in mind, and I'll go into them very briefly. If you want to work on how you are improving and you're a woman in leadership, then contact me for a strategy session in the description below. But for everyone else, there's a couple things you want to do. Talk at a slower rate than you normally would. That feels like you're talking too slow. Why is this important? Because people, when they're listening to you, if you talk too fast, they can't process what you're saying and it doesn't make sense. But if you try to intentionally, let's say for now, I'm intentionally talking a lot slower than I normally would, you will more than likely be able to listen and understand what I'm saying. But if I start talking really fast and I'm really, really excited about what I'm trying to say, and I'm just trying to tell you at least 3 strategies really quickly, you see how I sped up? I talked way too fast. I spoke way too fast. When you speak way too fast, people are not able to understand it. So one of the things you can try today, an actionable strategy you can try today when you are speaking to your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers, your other direct reports, your supervisors, your bosses, or your CEOs or your VPs or whoever else you may be communicating with, try to take a breath when you're speaking and try to slow down and take a few moments just to prepare for the conversation. I see so many leaders struggle with this. They do not prepare. They do not prepare. And sometimes if you don't prepare, then how do you have a plan for this conversation? Now you may think, well, I'm busy, I don't have time. Well, this is why you subscribe to the channel. I'm sharing with you strategies that will truly help you be able to elevate yourself, not only as a leader, because we need leaders like you in the world today, but also as someone that can communicate at a higher level than your peers. So I want to know from you in the comments below, which of these strategies resonated with you the most today? And if you have any questions about these strategies or need any insight, I'm here to support you any way that I can. For those of you who have joined, welcome, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I appreciate you all so much for taking a moment to stop by the channel today. What I do here on my morning lives, there tends to be somewhat short, just depending on time. If there's something someone has a question about, I will follow up just like Bishop Burton had yesterday. I will follow up in the evening. We'll talk a bit more about it to give you some insight to help you on your journey. But I'm here really to support you. If you're new to me, I appreciate you being here. Feel free to look at my live videos. I give a lot of insight there. And then also, if you have questions about something specifically, put it in the comments below and I'll do a video just for you and give you some insight to help you communicate at a higher level. So let's see what's in the chat. Bishop Burton says, how do you deal with not being intimidated by other seasoned veterans in the room? Okay, so Bishop Burton, what I'm going to do just for you is I'm going to talk about that this evening. So give me just a second. Let me do a screenshot of what you said, because this is something that is very important, especially as you are in a leadership role. You want to be able to be in rooms with other people that are maybe more accomplished, or have not more accomplished. Let me not say that. They have done more, let's say, things in their careers or etc. But you still want to be confident. So Bishop Burton, I'll talk a little bit about that this evening if you want to join. If not, just catch the replay. I'll give you a shout out in that also. Ellie Belly 567 says, hi, I'm new. Hello, Ellie Belly. I'm glad to see you here. I am finishing up the live right now, but you're welcome, Ellie, to check out some of my videos. I'm here to really help you go to that next level. If you're a woman in leadership and want to get some support in terms of how to communicate at a higher level than your peers, then send me a message in the comments or contact me for a strategy session in the description below. All right, Bishop Burton says, thanks so much. Absolutely, Bishop. I will respond to you on that. I appreciate you all so much for being here today. And join me this evening because we're going to talk about Bishop Burton's questions specifically as it relates to how to deal with not being intimidated when you're in the room with other seasoned individuals. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you this evening.